Let my honesty spill out through the pages.
You're listening to Escaping the Rat Race. I'm your host, Amy Leo, a singer, songwriter, and mental health educator. And our show is all about questioning the status quo and pushing the boundaries into what's possible for human beings and not probable. So tune in and get ready to escape the rat race, not only the monotonous 9 to 5 work grind, but also that incessant internal mental chatter that prevents most of us humans from experiencing more joy, peace, clarity, and freedom. Entrepreneurs do it all, putting aside personal care for the success of their business. This August, revive your sanity and your work in a week-long professional growth retreat in Costa Rica. Spend 7 nights at the Blue Osa Resort with 3 fresh garden-to-table meals a day, yoga classes, and 10 coaching classes for the success of your business and your life. Sign up for the advanced program and receive one-on-one coaching with Jean Catherine before and after the retreat. To find out more, go to www.reviveyoursanity.com. www.reviveyoursanity.com. On today's show, I'm speaking with singer, songwriter, and entrepreneur Aoife O'Leary for a raw conversation of hard times and also what's on the other side of those hard times. And that's the possibility of seeing life with greater simplicity and ease, whether it's in your general life or career. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. My name is Amy Leo from reviveyoursanity.com. Not sure where you are in the world. I have on the line a dear friend of mine. She is a music whiz. She's a singer-songwriter, and her message is love. And she's really, really passionate about assisting people to find their own voice and express themselves in the world. And she has a variety of personal stories and personal experience with what it's like to be a creative person and to have that inner struggle where your heart's telling you to do one thing and then your mind and maybe your friends and family are telling you to do another thing. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Miss Aoife. She is in Dublin at the moment. And Aoife, if you could just start sharing a little bit about your story with your passion for music and how that manifested. And from there, we'll go to the business side and the spirituality side.
Thank you. Hello. Thank you for having me on this. This is incredible. So yeah, my name is Aoife O'Leary, and from the time I was probably 2 is my earliest memory of music and singing, and that being what I wanted to do. And I was so sure. And as I grew up in my house, there was a lot of turbulence in my teens, so I lost a lot of confidence. So by the time I got back into singing, I was in my 20s. And I did backing vocals and stuff for people around Ireland at the time, but I knew my heart was in rock, in loud rock, and in writing my own songs that were like stories of my own life that I could really, really connect to. So Moth Complex came from that, and Moth Complex was my band. And there were so many things going back years and years and years to my teens that I really wanted to do. I wanted to tour, I wanted to make videos, and like for somebody who is in Dublin, Ireland, spending every single penny I had on music or in-ear monitors or whatever those things were, like videos, photographs, all the rest of it. The idea of being able to head off and tour around the States was sort of crazy. It was just crazy. But I had read all about this manifestation stuff, and I checked my favorite bands, and it was MySpace at the time that they would have been using. So I took screenshots or made printouts of their tour itineraries across the States. And I had this little box that I had for what I wanted to create in my future. And I put the list of shows in there. And in my mind, I pictured that that's what I was going to do for myself. I know creative people understand these things. Creative people understand that life flows through us. So you can't decide, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to write the best song I've ever written and have that just happen, because it's not only you in the process. And the process of writing the best song ever largely involves getting out of your brain, putting yourself and your own agenda aside. It definitely involves action and upskilling and all the rest of it, but then allowing the magic to happen and allowing life to flow through us. So happenstance, I'm doing air quotes, things happened where I ended up meeting online somebody who I pursued as a manager for the band, and he ended up being involved in the band, and between the two of us we booked a Math Complex tour across the States. And then after that, I actually moved to the States. Visa fell into my hands, performance visa, and that's another manifestation story that I can tell. And then I lived in the States for a year doing shows on Sunset Strip and, you know, the Viper Room, the Roxy, those kind of venues, and having incredible experiences. Released 2 albums through Math Complex, and was doing another side project when I was really feeling at that stage that there were other things that I wanted to explore in life for a little while. So that's kind of where I am now. So does that answer the question?
That's perfect, Aoife. I love so much bringing on colleagues of mine and friends and people that I don't even know, because it's really important to me to share with people that you can have a lifestyle that's aligned with what you're passionate about and love to do. You know, it's not just reserved for like the quote unquote shiny superstars. You know, you're just, well, they're just human beings too, but here you are, just an ordinary, everyday, big-hearted gal from Dublin who was able to tour the United States. And I think that's extraordinary, and it's something that gets missed a lot in our cultural tales, or at least the tale in America, you know, that's going on about that you have to work really hard to, you know, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, or that you have to be lucky, or that you can never make any money as a singer, so why even bother? So I would love if you could share more about how did you I know the words coming to mind other than transcend, but how did you start seeing for yourself that the cultural norms aren't really relevant to your individual path as a creative person?
Well, I think it's something that I felt from very early on, that I sort of felt on the outside of life, that other people, that I felt a little bit more of an observer, or as much as I could be involved in whatever was going on, that I still felt a little bit more of an observer is really the main way I could think. But then also there's, and I think we spoke a little bit about this before we started the call, but I remember a friend of mine telling me at one stage, she said, I understand that the best way to manage huge numbers of people is through a system. And it's almost like the societal agreements about what the norm is kind of one with that system. So our media reinforces it, our TV shows, I suppose, advertisements, shops, all business, all those kind of things about what's normal for people in life. So you should have this by this age. If you're in this situation, you should think this or feel this. And then if you don't do what is aligned with the norm, you're in wrong again. I'm in quotes, you know. And so for people who are born into this sort of the Western world, or are kind of or what those kind of norms, if you don't agree with that stuff, or if in your body, because the answers are always in our body, something feels off or feels wrong, you can start to kind of blame yourself or feel discordant or wonder what's wrong with me. I felt that for a long time. What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? I tried, before I was doing music, I tried to just to get a job and work a normal place, and I'd find myself turning up to work in the mornings in tears, or in my lunch breaks in tears, and just thinking, I can't live like this. Like, if it's X amount of dollars, or for me it would have been pounds at the time, euro, pounds, whatever, an hour, like I'd rather have my time. At least then I could do things I could feel fulfilled by. And I suppose I realized that that I just, because a large part of the what's wrong with me thing was other people can just do this. Other people can go, yeah, I hate my job, but I don't care. On Friday night, I'm going out. But for me, it was like, but this is my life. This is my life. I can't do this. And really, that now looking back, I can see that where I was kind of stuck in the sort of the problem part of it, because what was great about those couple of years is that I remember at one stage getting to a point of really feeling I can't live like this, and thinking, okay, well, what am I going to do about it then? What do I really want? And the answer about what I really wanted was I wanted to do music. I wanted to sing. And then I thought, okay, well, if I'm going to do that, what are the steps? And so the first step I came on was to look around ads and shops. And at the time, I'd look at the ads, but I couldn't take, or I might take the numbers, but I couldn't contact the people. And I remember one day in my job ringing about somebody about an advertisement for a band, and before they answered the phone, I hung up. And I remember being delighted with myself, because in that moment I thought, I've made a step, and the next step I'm going to talk to the person, and the step after that I'm going to this, and the step after that, and ultimately I'm going to sing. And that's what I did. And I know for other people who might be sort of or more able or less sensitive to the world or whatever, they'd be thinking, what the hell is wrong with you? You just ring them and you make an arrangement and you go ahead. But I can't explain. That was the way I was feeling. That was it. But ultimately, the decisions and the things that have been changing my life and opening me up to all these different opportunities were, first of all, making a decision to step out of the, oh God, why I don't like this, and step into the, okay, well, what do I want? What am I going to do about it? Because ultimately it's fine that, it's great for people who, who fit nicely into what would be considered norm, and who get society's approval and approval of their families and all the rest of it. And everybody thinks that's great. You're so successful at your job. You've got this, you've got this, you've got this. Awesome. But there are people who just need different things in life. And really, that's okay. And the more you fight against your own nature, and the more discord and unhappiness results. Whereas really, the more you kind of can absolutely get grounded, get still, and get honest about how you feel, what you desire, and the truth of where you are, and how you're going to move in the direction that is really going to be a place where you can feel more fulfilled and happy in yourself. But then you're in the perfect position to give to others, because it's only through being filled up in ourselves that we can give to others too.
There's so many just beautiful nuggets that you're directing the listeners to, this kind of universal human experience that's unfolding for everybody moment to moment, and that it absolutely is different for every individual, and that there's nothing wrong. So often, Aoife, when I'm speaking to people, there was always this belief, and it often happened like about the timing you said. I can speak for myself that the self-doubt for me really came about the teenage years as well. Some people it's a little earlier, where you go from being this child where the world is full of imagination and possibilities and mystery and potential, to starting to be aware of yourself and others, to be aware of something called social approval or acceptance, to be aware of these cultural rules and norms. And what Aoife is pointing to is this freedom that's available for every human being, no matter what their career desire is. And I know that you've kind of done some work in looking in the direction of self-discovery. And I'd like to ask you, how has the process of self-discovery changed life for you?
Wow, that's an amazing question. I remember at a time, like I had mentioned just really quickly earlier, about having a time of turbulence in my life. So my teenage years were the toughest years for me to live. And I remember at a point when I was probably in and around 20, finding myself in therapy. It was kind of going to be that I was so much heading off the rails that I was either going to get myself together, or I was going to be in a place where I was going to, in the words in my head, or I was going to die, you know. And so I remember being in therapy, and that's kind of, I knew before that my mom had Louise Hay books, and so when we were babies or young children, she would do yoga. So I was kind of like, we'd be playing with her toys and she'd be doing yoga beside us. So I kind of had an awareness of these kind of spiritual principles, or about yoga being such a practice of grounding and sort of so I was aware of those things kind of in the background somewhere, but then I kind of got lost in my life. So when I went to therapy initially, it really kind of set me on this path. And I remember after a few months being in a place where I started to see that it wasn't a case that life just happens to me. Because up to that, life used to happen, I'd react. Life would happen, I'd react. Life would happen, I'd react. And I'd react in whatever way I had seen other people react, or I was used to reacting. So if there was a fight and somebody shouted at me, I'd shout back and get angry and blame, and then get totally distressed and then tell everybody else about it. And then, you know, kind of all those things. And that's what I used to do. And I just didn't know that I had a choice in how I react. So there were kind of all sorts of things that came from initially starting to see, no, the life that is happening around me, I am creating as much as I am responding to, reacting to, you know, that I have a part in this. And then after a few months, I came to a place of feeling like a limbo. Like I wasn't where I wanted to be in life, and I wasn't where I had been. And where I had been, as much as it didn't feel good, was familiar. So it kind of had a warped sort of safety or security in it because it was predictable to me. Whereas when I moved out of that and I was going forward, as much as I knew I was moving in the direction of the things and the life I wanted, I had this realization, there's no going back now. I can't go back asleep. I can't ever be unconscious again. And that was kind of a scary place. And I remember I met my first kind of, I suppose, really proper boyfriend. I had boyfriends, but I didn't have somebody who I stayed with for a number of years and we're still friends and all the rest of it. But I remember when I met him at first, and he was really nice to me, I felt bored. It's crazy. I felt bored because as much as I wanted this, I wanted to be somebody who was going to treat me really well and be nice to me. When it was happening, there was none of the drama. There was none of the screaming. There was none of the fighting. And I was thinking, okay, is this what life is supposed to be like then? You know, and it actually took me a while to adapt to that and to be able to receive somebody being nice to me. So I suppose the final thing that I'd be thinking is, how has it changed my life? It's changed my life to be that I know I'm in control of how I feel, and I feel good basically all the time. Now, there are times, I'm a human being, so obviously I'm not the clown. So there are things that happen that are things I don't want, or there are days I feel grumpy, or there are days that I feel, you know, days that feel harder than others. But I know that if I go get quiet, settle down, come back to breath, there is realignment there. And that ultimately now I know whatever is happening, I choose how to react. And there's such power in that, you know. So now, say if something happens, or if I'm around something I don't like, it's all instead, and I hear my brain going, "Oh look, I'm doing it again. I'm doing it again. I'm wanting to be defensive, and that's because I'm really scared." And I kind of laugh, and it's fixed. It's just that simple. And it amazes me how easy life can be when we step out of our own ego and stubborn-mindedness and all that kind of stuff. So it's literally, I'm in a world away from where I began with all these things. I'm like a different person.
Yeah. You know, it's so funny. I think if both of us were sitting with our former selves and we said that life is actually a lot simpler than we think, with the
Yeah.
key words there, we think, because it's
Yeah.
all interpretation based.
Yes,
I think we'd
totally.
probably throw stones or tomatoes at ourselves, but
Exactly.
but
Yeah.
this is the truth. As I've also come, you know, to experience it, is that it really is more simple than we think. And it's not that there aren't logistical things to take care of. You know, the bills logistically do need to get paid every month, or if they don't, then you can creatively figure a way through that. And it has been in my own life substantially more beneficial when I am approaching circumstances like that with a clearer mind,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And this piece I also really liked that you were pointing out was about the unknown and this limbo. And I had a similar experience of feeling really disoriented when I started to really see for myself that even the reactions that I'm having are just one interpretation of this other person's interpretation of the world.
Yeah.
So the beauty of that is that in certain moments I have a choice now, and it
Yeah.
happens more and more effortlessly where I just don't have to take it seriously.
Exactly. I
You
was
know?
telling you that I have I've been keeping a blog, I suppose, for this year, and I wrote about one thing where I had a night where I was stood up by this guy, and I think I called the blog the Mike formula and the next situation because there are two of them in a matter of weeks. But there's one guy, and I had this sense before, to cut a long story short, that yeah, I don't know if this night's going to happen. As much as he was saying, no, 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 definitely, and I'll call you this time, and that I still had, and I was saying, okay, and I still had in my body had this feeling, I don't know if this is going to happen. So anyway, on the night in question, I got all dressed up, you know, the way we girls do, hair done, makeup, dress, high heels, looked my best, called him and said, okay, cool, I'm here now, I'm in town, because the idea was he was going to be wandering around, so with a couple of pals, so I was going to call him and he was going to tell me where they were. No response. And so I tried to ring his phone, no answer. And normally now I default to the thing of, okay, well, that's fine. Something must have come up. I'm sure I'll figure out in time. Whereas that night, my body was telling me, you knew this, you know, you knew this and you ignored it. So I thought, okay, I gave it 20 minutes and I thought, how long am I going to stand here in a bathroom of a bar in town waiting for a call and giving my power away? So I thought, okay, that's it. So I went home. And I remember starting to feel those like in norm type feelings where I started to feel kind of sad. I started to feel kind of down. I started, you know, those kind of things. And I started the what's wrong with me type feelings. And in that second, I thought, nope, I'm not doing this because I know where that goes. I know where those thoughts are going to lead me. They're going to lead me to more bad thoughts and reasons why it's tough and tears but yeah, all those things. And I thought, okay, I'm going to do what I know and I'm going to make a choice there. So the thing about what I know is you don't force happy feelings on top of other feelings. I don't even want to say bad feelings. They can feel bad, but the feelings aren't bad. They're just feelings, you know. And so if you can honor them and give them the space, I'm going, okay, so what's the truth of what I'm feeling? I feel sad. I feel disappointed. And it was like, okay, so you feel sad and disappointed. So if I want, I can let myself feel sad and disappointment. And okay, so next thought comes, and that was, why do I feel sadness and disappointment? It's because I didn't feel that evening how I wanted to. How did I want to feel? Well, I wanted to feel happy. I wanted to feel pretty. I wanted to feel attractive. I want to feel like flirtatiousness and fun and play, excitement, you know, because I was going to go and show him and his friends around or whatever around Dublin. And I thought, all right, so my sadness and disappointment has nothing to do with the guy, nothing to do with being stood up. It's just because I didn't feel feelings I wanted to. So I thought, okay, well, so how can I generate those feelings for myself? Well, I can dress up and go out and meet my friend tomorrow. I can have play and fun when I'm minding my nephews. We can, you know, play chasing in the garden or, you know, whatever. I can feel happiness this, I can feel this. And all of a sudden I realized that everything was fine. And I actually felt grateful for the situation that had happened. And when I heard from him the next day, I thought, oh, that's grand. Hope you had a good night. And I knew I wouldn't be meeting him again because that's not how I want to be treated. But I didn't feel anything like I would have before. I didn't feel blame. I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel like victimized or any of that kind of stuff. I just felt thankful because it's like, great, now I learned all this stuff that I wouldn't have learned before. And then I went off and had a load of fun doing all sorts of different things. And so it's kind of like life gets to be like that if you don't get caught up in the drama, and you can just roll with the punches or let the feelings flow, or, you know, not get caught in the judgment and the blame and the self-blame and the self-criticism, but just choose to see things a little differently, shift your perspective, you know. And there are times when that's pretty easy, and there are times that takes a couple of days for different situations, but ultimately it's more playful. It's a lighter way to be in life. It's much more fun, and it feels so much better than being caught in the anger and the drama and the blame, because I've lots of practice of that before. Lots of it.
Yeah. Well, what Aoife is sharing, I mean, this one insight that an individual has changes their entire world. You know, this shift from my feelings are coming from something outside of myself, or are my feelings coming from the inside out? That's a game changer on so many levels, you know. And it really, as you were sharing, I was chuckling a little with my own experiences of, I've really come to see there's the body knowing that Aoife is talking about. We could call that wisdom. We could call that common sense. That could be guiding you. Well, it is guiding you in every facet of life, whether it's a relationship, whether it's career-based, whether it's with your art, whether it's with your business. And I really invite listeners that when something is really strongly resonating with your instinct or your gut or your intuition, again, all different words, but I'm pointing at the same thing, to really follow where that leads, much like Aoife has shared in her own story, because the truth is, the thought committee, that kind of primal monkey brain on that habit circuitry of thought, is always going to go, you know, with the questioning. Oh, well, why? Maybe if I said this, then it would have gone that way, or maybe I shouldn't do this, or I'm not going to have that much money, or maybe I'll be overwhelmed. All of that really doesn't take us anywhere as human beings. It's not that helpful. It doesn't propel us forward. And that's something, those voices will likely come up as you continue your journey as a creative person, because I don't know about, well, Aoife's already shared this. I was going to say, I don't know about you, Aoife, but I'm not an alien yet or an enlightened master. And I mean, everyone has insecure thoughts from time to time. But when you start to see that that's really human, and that maybe it's not the best time to trust yourself with your worldview, you know, when it feels really dark. Like I had quite an interesting day yesterday where I was moving through all these emotions really pretty quickly, Aoife, you know, because I also haven't been in the practice lately of holding on to them or making a lot of meaning, but it didn't prevent me from feeling insecure. It didn't prevent me from feeling anger at certain points, to gratitude. And it was like, boom, 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 boom. Yeah. And it was so lovely. You know, my sweetheart came up to me and said, you know, hey, what's wrong? Like, there's got to be something wrong. And I said, no, hon, there isn't. Like, I'm just feeling a little sad right now. Because I knew that I run the test, Aoife. I don't know if you have some type of thing like this for yourself. You know, there's certain things that if I'm in that low state of mind and everything seems like it's awful, you know, I probably, again, shouldn't really trust myself, because it's just one interpretation. It's like painting with a black brush when in actuality you have access to a full color palette.
Yes, exactly. It can be so funny, because I was watching a training by this lady called Christy Marie Sheldon, who I love. She does a lot of energy work, and she said for a week, notice your judgments, because what's key to this kind of way of living is being open and being non-judgmental of others or yourself. So you can observe life as it happens, observe your feelings as they're happening, feel them if you need to, but you can shift them very quickly. So for a week I was observing my judgments, and I got a bus somewhere, and there was a lady on the bus, and I love when people wear outrageous stuff I've worn like in before, especially when I was in around my earliest 20s. I remember I had a lime green fake fur mini dress. I still have kind of really bright, really crazy stuff. So I think for people, fly your flag, live your life, enjoy it for whatever reason for that day on the bus. I think she was wearing something that was really, really teeny and all bulgy. So first thought in my brain was, oh, for God's sake. And then my next thought in my brain was, all right, you're observing your judgments. What are your criticisms about this person? And I swear, everything about my judgments for that whole week related back to me. She shouldn't be whatever, why. So you'd like somebody to determine how you'd wear clothes, you know? Like, of course not. All right. So what, and literally by picking apart my different judgments, I could really see that they had nothing to do with the externals and everything to do within. And even when, one other thing I'm thinking of is if I drive, sometimes I drive, like if somebody in front of me is going really slowly, I start feeling irritated, like because I like moving fast anyway in life. I like when life kind of moves fast. I feel excited when I'm going here or doing this, or it's like it's fun. But and I tease my dad. I say, you're the reason that I feel this impatience when I drive, because I've had years and years of watching you feeling irritated, and we joke back and forth because I know it's not him. I know it's all me, and whatever I observed, it's my behavior now is all about me. And so sometimes I'm thinking, why do I want to pass them out? What difference does it make? Why do I want to go like faster than I am, even within the speed limit? What difference does it make? So there's all this conditioning or this judgment that is literally built on sand. It doesn't, there's no substance to it. It's all just this past conditioning, past thinking, unquestioned beliefs, unexamined beliefs. And a lot of the time, it all comes back to it. Well, really all the time, it all comes back to ourselves. And so when we can pick apart those judgments, I'm judging somebody else for not being how I would want them to be. Okay, is that how I want to be? No, I want them to be exactly how they want. And I want to have the freedom to be that myself. So why is there a judgment? I don't know. And all of a sudden it all falls apart. You know, like, great, I'm glad I realized that. In future, I can just bless people and go fly your flag. Enjoy your life. I applaud you. I am cheering you on. And it feels so much better than the contraction. And there's just one more thing about how the feelings are in our body. That's the openness, the relaxed, the happy feelings. And there's the contracted, controlling, tense, like furrowed brow, like this clenched, those kind of feelings. And one is guiding you in a direction that's open and where there's opportunity, and the other body feelings are shutting you down.
So simple. I've really appreciated the simplicity and clarity that you've brought to this call, Aoife. We are actually running out of time. I'm bummed out about this. But just a couple of things. If there is one thing that you would want listeners to take home from today's call, what would it be? And then please share where people can find you, Aoife, if they want to speak with you more and work with you.
Okay. The number one thing that I would say to people is that wherever you are is just fine. That if all this stuff is resonating and you're feeling more called to go into it for yourself, perfect. And if you're listening to this thinking that's absolute nonsense, that's perfect too, because I spent a long time judging myself for not being here, or not being there, or not being further along, not being more successful by whatever societal terms, or not being, all those kind of judgments. And at the end of the day, it's like, you are where you are, and it's absolutely fine. So I would say to people, take the pressure off. Being somebody who still puts a lot of pressure on myself, take the pressure off and think, actually, I'm doing great. I'm pretty awesome. And if you own that, I think you're on the right path. And where you can find more about me, my band is Moth Complex. Although I'm taking a break from Moth Complex at the moment, but it's Moth Complex, since I mentioned it on the call, is MOTH complex.com. And what I'm working on personally at the moment is My Message is Love. MyMessageIsLove.com. And I want to help facilitate people finding their own voice in the world and expressing themselves, be that to do something musical, creative, artistic, or to start a business, or to just personally lean in that direction. So I'm at mymessageslove.com. And you can email copy at mymessageoflove.com because I also do copywriting there too.
Perfect. I have loved you being on the call. Again, this was Amy Leo from reviveyoursanity.com. And if you did resonate with this kind of conversation and want to spend 7 days in Costa Rica with other big-hearted, open-minded entrepreneurs and creatives like myself in Aoife, please feel free to check out the website at reviveyoursanity.com. It is a retreat that's geared at entrepreneurs. So if you feel, oh, I'd love to take a vacation, but I can't walk away from my business, I can't step away, I promise you, you will definitely learn some things that will be beneficial to your business and maybe even make some new connections and network while in a beautiful place. So come on, best of both worlds. Until next time, keep rocking, everybody. My biggest take homes for today. I really enjoyed how real and practical Aoife was as she spoke about her own journey to greater awareness and consciousness. And you really felt that as she spoke, she had nothing on the interview except sharing genuinely and wasn't trying to convince anybody of anything. One major point that stuck out for me is the idea of love and living from love, but not as a woo-woo romanticized concept, but love as a control center for operating, uh, love as an energy, as a certain feeling with which to take action and engage in the opportunities around you in. You know, for me, this is something that we all experience, this energy force, and that if someone, for instance, is in a bad mood, we can automatically feel that as soon as they walk in the door. They don't have to say anything. But when someone is operating from a space of not phony, conceptualized love because I want to be a better person, but really love again as a way of living, as a place of insight and energy, that we can also really feel that as well, whether we're talking to people in a professional conversation or whether it's in our personal relationships. And the last take home for me was I loved what Aoife said about not needing to force happy feelings on top of other feelings. I think this is so huge and something that's often misunderstood by people, that Aoife was saying, I was just going to get really honest with myself when she got stood up by that guy, for instance, and she wasn't going to try to feel happy. She wasn't going to try to reframe it, but that she really just let herself experience whatever she was going through. And from there, she was able to stand in her own power, and that those quote unquote negative or bad feelings, she realized that they're really not that scary, that there is really nothing to do with them, there's nowhere to take them, that they're just going to pass and they're a natural part of living. That's all I had for today's show. I was so delighted that Aoife could come on and share with us. I highly recommend you going to her website, mymessageslove.com. It's beautifully done. It's very simple and well worth, I think, the browse over there. Until next time, my name is Amy Leo from reviveyoursanity.com. Thank you for listening. Keep rocking.